Thank you, members. If you wouldn't mind remain standing, please, for Mother Louise. Thank you.
So let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we just ask for your blessings upon this meeting. We give thanks for the general public that are here in their interest to hear what's happening in the meeting. We pray for those who are here for the last time in their offices and the roles that they've been doing. And we give thanks and gratitude for all the hard work that they've been doing in these roles. Pray particularly tonight for Peter in his last full meeting. And we give thanks also for his wife, Lorraine, for the support she's given in this office as well. We pray blessings upon all of those as they come up to the new election time. May this be a time of clarity, a time of being able to serve those around in their local communities. And may this be a time that blesses them too in the work that they do. We pray all this in your precious name, Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Mother Louise. And members, please be seated. Thank you. Do you have some water? Yes, please. Yeah. You got it? Or you got this? Just forgive me for one moment, let me just get myself sorted here and settled. Got me normal glasses, so I've got some spare glasses today. There we go. Right, okay. Good evening, everybody. And good evening to members of the public that are in the gallery this evening. If we move straight on to the agenda, apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I have apologies for absence from Councillors Carlo Guglielmi, Councillor Andy Baker, Councillor Mick Barry, and Councillor Delith Miles. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda is minutes of the last meeting. Can I so move? Thank you. General approval there. Can I take that as yes? Okay, thank you. Take that as approved. Item number 3 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest here this evening? No declarations of interest. Thank you very much.
Chairman,
Oh, sorry. Councillor Allen.
just to remove any doubt at all, if there's anything that comes up about the Frinton or Walton Town Council or that area, or my ward in particular, I declare an interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. And I think that's it. No more. Okay, thank you. Okay, announcements by the chairman. Item number 4, which is myself, and I do have just a few. Okay. Because of the election on May the 4th, tonight's meeting will be my last full council meeting as chairman of Tendring District Council. It will also be the last time we all sit here together. Some of us are not standing for re-election, and some of us may not get re-elected. You know, that's for our residents, the people we serve, to decide that, and that's democracy. So I want to take this opportunity to say some thank yous tonight. Firstly, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our leader, Councillor Stock, and Councillor Carlo Guglielmi, who unfortunately is not with us this evening, for asking me to become chairman. I remember the phone call very well, and I remember the thuds as I fell off my chair. I was surprised, but absolutely delighted. So thank you. Also, thank you to all the members that had faith in me and elected me. Thank you. I hope that you saw that I have tried my best for everyone, and I have tried to be fair and equal with all members. Thank you also to my Vice Chair, Councillor Val Guglielmi, for all your support this year and for standing in when I couldn't make various appointments. As every past chairman will tell you, backup and support from TDC officers is vital. And I would like to place on record my sincere thanks to all TDC officers and staff that work so hard doing a fantastic job, often behind the scenes without seeking recognition. They are a great team and are the backbone of this council. However, I would like to personally thank our Chief Executive, Ian Davidson, and a monitoring officer, Lisa Hastings, for all their advice and for the digs in the ribs when I've missed something. Plus, I'd also like to thank Ian Ford in particular for all his advice sheets in helping me get through these meetings. Another thank you, also special thanks to the leadership team, and in particular, Emma Hayward, for all their support throughout the year. And thank you, Mother Louise has actually gone there, but thank you to Mother Louise for the prayers, words of wisdom, and supporting me personally throughout the year. Becoming chairman of TDC has been one of the greatest honours and experiences of my life so far. These past 11 months have absolutely flown by. It is a role that I wasn't expecting, to be honest, as a first-term councillor, and I've had to learn so much and so fast. And as we move into the 11th month, I feel I'm just about qualified to do the job now. But what an historic 11 months they have been. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations were quite remarkable. It was fantastic to see so many happy, smiling faces across the district. Myself and my wife, Lorraine, were doing up to 4 events each day, and each and every one were brilliant, but we will never forget the special welcome we received from the residents in Jaywick. They were wonderful. And of course, lighting of the Clacton Beacon was truly special, although TDC health and safety officers were having nightmares as I appeared on a cherry picker with what appeared like a flamethrower, with thousands of people watching. What could possibly go wrong? Thankfully, all went well, and our piper, Charlie Jones, added to this historic occasion. Following this, of course, in September, our Queen sadly died. An historic moment for us all and our nation. And I was hugely honoured to read out the proclamation of our new King, King Charles III, on the steps of this town hall. And I attended readings also in Harwich and in Frinton. As chairman, I've been right across the district, supporting lots of events, too many events to mention here tonight. But I will say that my eyes were open to 2 historic, amazing places that are Brightlingsea and Harwich. So much history. They really are 2 jewels in Tendering's crown, in my opinion. My 2 charity groups were the RNLI and veterans across the Tendering districts. So far, we have managed to raise about £3,000. I'm particularly proud to have helped organise the first ever Veterans and Services Day in August, a great day that had many army vehicles or ex-army vehicles, emergency services and stalls from many of our veterans groups. And it was a chance to thank our veterans for their service and sacrifice. My special guests that day were a number of World War II veterans from Clacton. It was truly humbling. I hope this becomes an annual event and will bring thousands of visitors to our district. It has been an amazing honour and privilege to work with many charities, from CVST, Clacton Lions, Rotary Club, mental health and cancer groups, and UK Homes for Heroes Veterans Charity, and many more. The thousands of volunteers we have across our district are remarkable unsung heroes. Our society would simply not function without them. I thank each and every one of them. On Monday, the 13th of March at 10 a.m., I invite members and residents to come to the town hall for the Commonwealth Day flag raising, and there'll be refreshments after in the parlour. Finally, when I pass on this chain to the next chairman, I will join the newly formed League of Chairmen, where I will offer my support to the new chairman and continue to support as many of the charities and contacts I have made. Being chairman is a wonderful experience. It has been a great honour, and I thank you all for your support. Thank you. Okay, item number 5 on the agenda, announcements from the Chief Executive. There are none. Okay, thank you. Item number 6, statements by the Leader of the Council. Councillor Stock.
Chairman, thank you. If I may, I'll be as brief as I can. I'm grateful to Councillor Bush and Councillor Allen actually for harrying me on this, but I apologise it's taken this long to make the announcement. But I did want to announce to members that after much searching down the back of the sofa, we have managed to come up with an amount of £200 per member to put towards celebrations for His Majesty the King's coronation on the 6th of June. Now, it does immediately present some legalistic type problems because we are entering into the pre-election period incredibly soon, in about 10 days' time. And none of us obviously want to be accused of treating, I believe, the offences under the Election Offences Act or whatever it is. So officers are going to be coming up with a strict set of criteria and getting it out to members. I would urge you to react as quickly as you can when the email comes out. Get your requests in, and I think the same sort of criteria that our 151 officer, which put in place last time we did this for the Platinum Jubilee, will be applied this time. I appreciate £200 isn't a huge amount of money, but it is something, and I think we can do something in our communities with that to honour His Majesty the King's celebration. He was chosen a very, awkward time, frankly, hasn't he, in the electoral cycle, but I don't expect he was thinking of us too much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stock. Councillor Allen, please.
Yes, I'd like to thank the chairman, the leader of the council for that. And there's me thinking they never listened to us, you know. But really, I think that deep down we all knew that we needed to do something because the areas are really all getting together, especially my own ward, Frinton and Walton. They're all getting together now and putting spectacular days on again for the local residents. And this will go a great way to helping them sort of ease the pain of trying to find the money to pay for all this. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. Councillor Bush.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Just to echo Councillor Allen's comment, and thank you very much, Leader, for this. As Councillor Allen said, we're in the midst across our parishes already planning for the big lunch party at the weekend in both Wicks, Little Oakley and Great Oakley. Much welcomed, and I'm sure they'll be very thankful too. So once again, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Councillor Bush. Councillor Scott.
Yes, Chairman, thank you. I'd like to thank the leader. Obviously, that'd be much appreciated. A lot of councillors where we have parish areas. In my area and Councillor Wiggins' area, we have 4 parish councils, and I do know they are doing bits and pieces like afternoon teas and putting flags up and doing flower beds. So that money, I'm sure Councillor Wiggins will combine hers with mine to make it spread further along the parish council areas. So much appreciated.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Scott. I think no more questions there. Points. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to next item on the agenda, which is statements by members of the Cabinet. And my attention is instantly drawn towards Councillor Talbot.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, colleagues. As the chairman himself said at the start of his statement, tonight, barring emergencies, is the final full council meeting of this 4-year cycle. And nobody knows at this stage who will be elected or re-elected for the new administration from the 4th of May onwards. Therefore, I must treat this as my swan song today, with this being my 14th statement. I'm pleased that data for 2021-22 shows that while the council's carbon emissions rose as expected in coming out of pandemic lockdowns, emissions from electricity, gas and fuel oil are lower than the pre-COVID 2019-20 year. Clearly, in this coming year, the new administration will put in train a process towards a new climate action plan to aid us as a council from 2024 onwards in our progress towards tendering's net zero carbon emissions target by the end of this decade. Many have said that the government should be more involved by directing what they perceive to be the best way forward to achieve the government's national target of net zero carbon by 2050, with the cash to actually prime the pump to get the work done. I've attended a number of climate change webinars with net zero carbon as their target, including those dealing with the provision of electric vehicle charging points, many of which voice the good work done in other authorities. But one thing most of them convey is the large initial cost of almost turning the clock back to the days before the internal combustion engine, before widespread travel became a way of life, or before the mass production of consumables such as household equipment and the use of electricity, the same electricity that uses the old infrastructure into which we are now seeking to install home charging points for domestic electric vehicles. Moving from the general to the particular is the answer prepared by my officers to the question I received from Councillor Mike Bush at the last meeting, who was asking about payback benefits of the proposed pool covers to which I'd referred in my last council report. We expect the payback period for pool covers to be around 2 years. This is due to high energy costs and the high level of energy to heat pools. We expect that 260 tonnes of carbon would be saved annually across the 3 pools with covers in place. The tender to purchase the new covers closes next week, and the council will appoint a contractor shortly after this to start the installation. Installing LED lights, light emitting diodes, will save only 0.3 tonnes per year within a typical council building and have a 6 to 7 year payback period. We also have the chance to install sensors, so lights only come on when people are in the building. The tender for these LED lights in leisure centres closes in a fortnight, with work starting thereafter. I have deliberately not spoken about new projects. These will be for the post 4th of May administration to decide their own properties. I thank you all, colleagues, for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Talbot. And I'm looking around, no questions. Okay, thank you very much. No more. Right, brilliant. Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on to the agenda, which is item number 8, which is the annual State of Tendering District statement by the Leader of the Council. Councillor Stock.
Thanks, Chairman. I had expected this to be the longest speech of the night, but obviously I wasn't taking into account your opening remarks. If everyone has settle in, Chairman. Councillors and members of the public, I'm delighted to present to you this year's State of Tendering Address. This statement is intended to give you an overview of some of the Council's achievements over the past year, and as we come to the end of our 4-year municipal cycle, it is also an opportunity to reflect on the journey we've been on, as well as to consider the challenges that lay ahead. As a councillor, each of us represents our community and the interests of our residents. Being an elected member is both rewarding and a privileged form of public service. It is undeniably a great honour to have the trust of our residents placed into our hands, and we are all in a position to make a difference to the quality of other people's daily lives and prospects. Being an effective councillor requires both commitment and hard work, and I keep going back to the heart of the council's priorities and community leadership. We lead the way in tendering with innovative solutions, relentless positivity and a can-do attitude as we aim to improve the lives of the people who live here. Alongside this, we continue to work with our many partners nationally, regionally and locally. We recognise the issues facing our communities at the current time with the cost of living, and we support our families and community groups through the Tendering Community Fund and with many other sources of support. Chairman, it was once said that a week is a long time in politics, so it should come as no surprise that so much has happened over the past 4 years, during which time, amongst many other events, we've had 4 Prime Ministers, we left the EU, we had the small matter of the COVID-19 outbreak to deal with, and just over a year ago, Russia invaded Ukraine, bringing war into Europe and all the consequences thereof. But despite those huge and unprecedented problems, Tendring District Council has shown that we can rise to these challenges through sound financial management, embracing new ways of working, the ability to adapt and change our plans in often rapid circumstances, and our work with partners. All of this we do to support the residents of Tendring. So here are but a few examples of the great work we have undertaken. Levelling up funding for Clacton Town Centre. The government has recently granted Tendring District Council £20 million to level up Clacton Town Centre. This really is a tremendous success for this council and for the district. It's an absolute game changer, and we should be feeling very proud right now. With this considerable sum of money, we can make significant infrastructure changes for the benefit of everyone, whether they live or work in the area, visit or own a business. It was also pleasing to hear that the government considered our bid for Clacton Civic Quarter as a strong application. Tendering Colchester Borders, and we'll hear more on this shortly, Chairman, but work on the Tendering Colchester Borders Garden Community Project continues to progress through strong partnership with Colchester City Council and Essex County Council. The councils have been giving careful consideration to the many comments from residents and other interested parties during last year's public consultation, which will help shape the plans going forward. This year, we expect to see the plans progress in more detail for further consultation and examination by a government planning inspector, which will pave the way for the first planning applications. This once-in-a-lifetime development will deliver the highest standards of new eco-friendly housing, a range of opportunities for employment and education, and an innovative new rapid transit system, as well as the A120, A133 link road. In addition, it will deliver a network of green spaces and environmental features, which, in line with the overarching garden community principles, will bring the best aspects of the town and the country together for future generations. Freeport East, Chairman. Momentum continued over the last year with a limited company which will drive this hub for global trade and regeneration forward, formally being incorporated in December, and I'm proud to represent this council as a founding member of the board. Further to this, Freeport East was formally designated by government in January, taking a huge step forward in the drive to create 13,500 new jobs in the region and create an amazing opportunity for transformational change in our district. This project, Chairman, is quite simply the most exciting initiative in the east of England in the past half century. And I want to thank the members of my Freeport East Working Party who have provided sound advice and critical challenge throughout the last year. The Starling site in Dovercourt. Work in Dovercourt is progressing to create a new car park, event space and public toilets using the former Starling's Garage and Queen's Head Hotel, which burnt down a number of years ago to create a new public space. This is a further example of our commitment to improving public spaces, but it is also an example of our dogged determination to prevail in the face of problems and cost increases and other unforeseen delays. These projects don't always go as smoothly as we might like, but at tendering, we have a great track record of finding solutions to the most intractable problems and delivering in the face of adversity. So yes, I acknowledge that this project has taken way longer than we hoped it would, but it is still going to be a triumph for this council and for this district. Businesses, Chairman, this council is extremely proud of our local businesses and appreciates their contribution to the local economy. In October last year, the council ran themed business networking events under the Tendering for Growth banner, a skills fair, and an awards night to celebrate some of the amazing businesses in the tendering district. Over 200 nominations were received for the awards, which ranged from young entrepreneur to friends of the environment. Feedback from those who participated was extremely positive, making the fortnight a huge success, which has led to the council expanding Tendering for Growth to run a series of smaller events planned through 2023. As the leader of this council, Chairman, it's always been my mantra that I will do whatever I can to support any business that wants to come to any part of tendering, subject obviously to the applicable regulatory and legislative requirements such as planning. It's a simple statement of positivity, but it goes a long way to send out the right message to prospective employers. The new multi-million-pound commercial workspace development in Jaywick Sands is also progressing at pace. Chairman, the government launched the UK Shared Prosperity Fund at the end of last year and allocated this council £1.2 million over 3 years to support 3 key themes: community in place, supporting local business, and people and skills. The council is currently allocating money to 6 projects, which include sports grants, improvements to the beachfront, and funding for a project to help those most affected by the cost of living. Future projects will include recruiting a town centre manager, providing more business support, grants for events, high street grants, and other initiatives to enhance the local area and economy. There will also be an opportunity for partners to bid for grants to fund initiatives that align with those 3 main themes. The Air Show and Leisure. The 2022 Clacton Air Show saw a return to more traditional pre-COVID flights and event schedule. An estimated 250,000 visitors watched displays from the Red Arrows and participated in activities planned for the 2 days. And we look forward to working with our key partners to celebrate the Clacton Air Show's 30th event in 2023. Our latest Economic Impact of Tourism report highlights a strong return of visitors to the tendering district, with a 56% rise in overnight visitors following COVID-19. A top cycle event also drew crowds into Clacton, with round 5 of a professional cycle race from the sportsbreak.com tour series. We've installed new state-of-the-art gym equipment at all 3 of the council sports facilities, using top-notch equipment. But we recognise that fitness and the role it plays in health and well-being does not necessarily have to be based in a building, and so we are doing a lot in the community to give people opportunities to take part in different activities, what I would call accidental activity. The Princess Theatre pantomime Cinderella celebrated a return to viewer confidence, celebrating its most successful year to date. Over 14,300 people watched Cinderella find her Prince Charming. The shows included sell-out school events that enabled children and young people to visit the theatre and watch a live performance. We are thrilled that the theatre received a record number of 5-star reviews on Google and TripAdvisor, and sales for Aladdin in December 2023 are already looking very positive. As our National Lottery heritage-funded Clacton 150 project comes to an end, we continue to celebrate the importance of our coastal heritage. The council is completing the new woodland at Burrs Road, Clacton. Children from a local primary school worked alongside our Public Realm Open Spaces team to plant the new woodland, and a new woodland trail will be installed during the spring. With support from Historic England, we will survey the Dovercourt leading lights ahead of a further funding bid to restore these nationally important scheduled monuments. Jaywick Sands Healthy Homes Initiative. The Jaywick Sands Renaissance includes working with the community and partners. Jaywick Sands continues to get positive engagement on issues which have far-reaching national interest. Coastal flooding and developing sustainable and safe communities does not only affect Jaywick Sands, but is a national issue. The leadership and commitment that this council has demonstrated has resulted in national organisations wanting to explore solutions to the challenges posed in an area like Jaywick Sands, as some of these solutions may have wide-ranging impacts across the rest of the country, where others fear to tread. Tendring District Council continues to lead. During the year, Chairman, the council was awarded funding from the local NHS North East Essex Health Alliance towards a project to improve housing conditions for those who privately rent their home in Jerick Sands. Following on from a housing stock condition survey, the funding will pay for a dedicated environmental health team who will be based in the village, with the first officers starting their new roles in March 2023. Whilst looking at housing issues, the funding will also fund additional work to promote responsible waste disposal and recycling in the area and improve areas of open space, creating a better neighbourhood for residents. As a council, there are also times when, to support residents, we have no choice but to take enforcement action and tackle more difficult matters. Our private sector housing team attended a second tribunal hearing last year in respect of civil penalties that were issued to a landlord following breaches of housing management regulations. The house in multiple occupation was closed down by the team in 2019 and penalties were issued to the landlord. Following appeals, the council's decision was upheld and a penalty issued for £23,000. This case demonstrates our continued commitment to enforcement and taking action against landlords who fail to comply with legal standards. And returning, Chairman, to more positive matters, do not just take our word that we are achieving success. There are plenty of examples of national recognition. The council has achieved 4 green flags for parks and gardens, including Clacton Seafront Gardens, Wheelie Crematorium, Cliff Park in Dovercourt, and Crescent Gardens in Frinton. Tendring has also been awarded 2 blue flags for its beaches. 6 tendering car parks have received top safety accreditation awards and achieved the Safer Parking Award Scheme, Parkmark. The council has also been awarded gold accreditation recognition for its work supporting the armed forces as part of the Ministry of Defence Employers Recognition Scheme. This scheme publicly recognises employers' efforts to support defence personnel issues such as employing reservists and veterans. These awards celebrate our initiative, hard work and dedication to improving services. We also held our first in-person Tendering Stars event for staff following the pandemic, recognising the professional and, in many circumstances, the exceptional contributions of our staff right across the council. We also had 3 very energetic officers who bounced their way through the event, demonstrating a number of new exercise classes available in the council leisure facilities. And I saw them repeat that at your Pride of Tendering Awards, Chairman, and what an event that was. Hard work, enthusiasm and the fantastic contribution to public services made by apprentices across Tendring and North Essex was celebrated at a special event held at the Town Hall during National Apprenticeship Week 2023. Celebrating its 40th birthday, each of the career track apprentices attending were awarded with certificates for their dedication towards achieving various qualifications. Our community leadership work continues to expand and fits into 3 key strands, namely health, education and community safety. The creation of the Tendering Education Strategic Board has brought together head teachers, education professionals from Essex County Council and tendering officers to prioritise key issues for young people in schools. A number of focus areas have been identified, including school attendance, speech and language, emotional well-being and skills. All of this work aims to support our young people to reach their full potential and provide as many opportunities as possible. We are proud to have worked closely with health colleagues and to have been able to support the opening of the Clacton Hospital Diagnostics Hub, a fantastic service for residents to have access to local healthcare facilities, which, when it is fully operational, will provide around 180,000 diagnostic tests per year. This will also save a number of car journeys to and from Colchester, also reducing our carbon footprint. We cannot take the full credit for this project, but we used our influence and brought a number of partners together to make this great facility for tendering residents. Over the past 12 months, antisocial behaviour has reduced by 31.1% in the district. This is due to the joint working with police colleagues, regular patrols, and targeting hotspots for antisocial behaviour and hate crime. Additional engagement has also been undertaken with local businesses and the public to be a visible deterrent. We continue to focus on support for the most vulnerable in our society, especially through this cost of living crisis. As I mentioned before, we know that this year has been particularly difficult for many residents, and we continue to provide hardship grants alongside support through the Tendering Community Fund, and we are working closely with our community partners, including CVST, CAT and many other community hubs and organisations. Whilst achieving all of this, there have been numerous budget challenges, and the council is having to consider different ways of working, and this work will continue. I draw your attention to the budget speech and reports at our meeting of 14th of February, and we will need to continue to develop a robust financial framework to deliver the savings to support an ongoing financially sustainable position into the next administration and over the next few years. Therefore, Chairman, to conclude, we continue to face many challenges in tendering, and notwithstanding the forthcoming elections, I urge members to carry on contributing positively to address the issues and problems that the council faces. There will be some really difficult decisions to make. It is likely that we will have to look at different ways of delivering services, and that will not be easy. I am more convinced than ever that success, however you choose to define it, for this council, for this district, and for our residents in particular, can only be achieved by us engaging positively and working constructively with our partners in the public sector, the private sector, the voluntary sector, and also with each other across the council chamber. And Chairman, working collaboratively with other people and other organisations is never easy. It requires humility, a willingness to compromise, and the ability to understand someone else's point of view. And let's face it, these are not the attributes always associated with elected politicians. But we are incredibly lucky here at Tendring to have a truly exceptional chief executive who has put together, through a combination of nurturing management and astute recruitment, a team of directors and senior officers that is second to none, and quite frankly, the best team of local government officers on any council in the land. But even our officers are still just human beings at the end of the day. And we as members need to ensure we play our part in helping to maintain a culture and an environment where the best talent in local government wants to come and work here, and those that are already here are motivated and inspired to go that extra mile and be ever more amazing. Chairman, we face uncertain times nationally and internationally with the continuing war in Ukraine and the ongoing financial situation. None of us can know what the future holds or how it will affect us. So we must continue to support our residents through whatever challenges emerge, working together, pro bono omnium.
Thank you, Councillor Stock, on a very comprehensive statement there. So thank you very much. I'm looking at Councillor Allen.
Yes, a very comprehensive statement. If I can just pull out one thing, and it's all right, it's not bad. Because of Councillor McWilliams, we had the privilege of going around the diagnostic centre in Clacton and seeing what happens behind the scenes. Although I must declare an interest as well, I have had treatment there myself and it's very good. Now we're looking at this centre now, and the machinery in there and the big CT where there's scanners, and there's a big one going in very soon. We're talking about 3,500 people being looked at a week. 3,500. It's brilliant. And so a lot of people have been on this for years and years, and it's finally happened. And I think we should be all privileged and honoured that that's been brought to our area, and our residents are going to enjoy the fruits of this from now onwards. And hopefully it would even expand more because they're looking at doing further improvements. So very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen, and I quite agree with that. It's a fantastic facility for our district. Moving over to Councillor Ivan Henderson.
Thank you, Chairman. And yes, in the statement, there is a lot to celebrate and support as achievements within the district over those last 4 municipal years. But I just want to mention a couple of things, because there is a line or two about the cost of living crisis and vulnerable people. And I think if someone doesn't stand up in this council chamber and voice the concerns of those people who are suffering out there, and there's also some lovely stuff in here about good things which have happened, but there are a number, he knows there are a number of people in this district which are still suffering, and they have suffered actually beyond those 4 years. And I ask him the question, does he feel disappointed, having been leader over the last 4 years, to still see perhaps even an increase in the amount of children now on poverty levels? That was 6,200 in 2017. That was the public health document, the profile at that time, which said that. But his government really has made things a lot worse. We've seen a budget which has actually crashed the economy, resulting in a rise of inflation, the biggest rise for 40 years. Mortgage rates increased, a freeze on personal tax-free allowance, which means more of our residents on low wages and low incomes are now paying tax, and a snatchback of £80 a month from some residents who were getting universal credit to help them through these hard times. And I do feel, and I know he said in the paper recently that people shouldn't need food banks because we have a good benefit system. But that benefit system hasn't worked for a number of years now. It hasn't followed inflation. So we have seen a massive increase in deprivation and poverty within our area. And I'd be interested to hear his comments on where he thinks we went wrong or what we could do better in the future to try and support and look after those people and raise their expectations and raise their income from above what it is now. He did say last year, and he says at the end of his speech about the financial situation, his words were, "The economy is recovering really well." He says, "But despite the negative effects of rising inflation, we are now seeing optimistic signs of the economy bouncing back." It may have been getting a bit better until last September when Liz Truss actually crashed the economy and cost this country billions of pounds, which has actually inflicted huge amounts of pain on residents around this district. And it'd be good to actually see the leader taking responsibility for that damage that his party has done. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Do we have any more? Councillor Mark Stevenson.
Thank you, Chairman. And I think, to be honest, I'd just rather talk about a leader. 4 years I've been here, another 4 years before that, and all that time, Councillor Stock has been my leader. And I think I'm going to acknowledge that it takes some skill and leadership to manage a council that you have no overall control over. You presided successfully over a 10-year financial plan, has seen this council come out stronger than most. Your achievements, I didn't realise you were going to list so many, but you've picked up the Freeport East, but Joe investment, the sea defence is £36 million, and the tendering garden communities where you met ministers to achieve the funding for the A133 to the A120. But you've also been inclusive. As an opposition member, I can say that. You oversaw the local plan committee in its early days, which was then stalled, in my opinion, and moved it and appointed a tenacious chairman once the momentum had been built, and ensuring all members were involved in that process. You invited all group leaders to come to your cabinet. And I'd just like to say about your calibre as well. It's not, like you said earlier, not just us that says it. For several years, you have chaired the Essex Leaders and Chief Executives meeting. That's a high honour in my books. And lastly, but not least, let's not forget that his contributions to local government were recognised by the late Queen, appointing him an officer of the British Empire. I have often said to many of you, including Councillor Stock, if I could choose a leader from all the members of this council, from both sides, my choice would still be Councillor Stock. And I'll stand by that. I, for myself and on behalf of my group, wish to thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. Okay, no one else. Okay, Councillor Stock, would you like to say any final words?
Well, yeah, thank you, Chairman. I agree completely with Councillor Allen's comments about the diagnostic centre, and I think we have a duty as members to try and not sell it as such, but just make sure our residents know that it exists, and our amazing minor injuries units, walk-in centres we've got at Clacton and at Harwich, because it's no fun going to A&E at Colchester Hospital with a broken this or severed that. You're going to be there for hours and hours and hours. Whereas our our local facilities are really as good as it gets anywhere in the country, quite frankly. I know Councillor Allen was sharing with me his story the other day, which I won't go into, but we are very lucky, I think, very fortunate to have that facility, and we should make sure that it gets well used and people don't schlep all the way into Colchester just to join a queue. Councillor Henderson talked about the cost of living crisis and voicing the concerns. I think I mentioned it many times in my speech, and I don't try and shy away from it. I don't try and claim credit for other people's achievements, nor do I seek to explain other leaders and what they've done and their authorities, whether it's Government of Westminster, Essex County Council, or other district councils. I actually was out of the country for 2 weeks, which was pretty much all of Liz Truss's time in office, and I wasn't paying too much attention, as you can imagine, to what was going on here. I came back to this storm of like, she's got to go, and she'd only just come in, and I still to this day am a bit bewildered by what happened. Whether you can blame the current state of the economy on Liz Truss would probably be convenient for you if you're looking to get elected at the moment as a Labour candidate, but it doesn't really stack up, does it? Because inflation in this country is really high, but it is in the rest of Europe, and it is in America, and it is in most of the Western world. So the problems that we had that we didn't have a year ago is that Russia went into Ukraine, and that had massive and totally unforeseen effects. You couldn't buy a new car suddenly because it turns out all the wiring looms for cars are made in Ukraine. Well, who knew that? I certainly didn't. Fuel went up through the roof. It was already getting expensive, don't get me wrong, it was. But suddenly, because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the cost of petrol went up through the roof. And other costs went up. Grain, I think, was it 40% of the world's grain came out of Ukraine, and suddenly that was in jeopardy. So I think I look back on the 4 years, and I'm very grateful to Councillor Stevenson for his very kind and generous words, and to his eternal credit, he's said that kind of thing before. I am very touched genuinely by them. It isn't easy being a council leader on any authority, I don't think. It's one of the toughest jobs you'll get to do. Leading a minority administration where you have to keep people from different backgrounds together is I would suggest, even tougher. But I think we've done it on this council for the past 8 years, and we've done it well. So I can look back over the last 4 years, and indeed the last 8 years, and think, could we have done anything different? Of course we could have done loads of things different. Would the ultimate effect have been any better? And I don't think we could have done it much better, actually. Are things perfect? No, of course not. Of course not. There are loads of achievements still to come for this council, loads of problems that still need sorting out for this council, for future generations of this council to tackle and sort out. There's local government organisation itself. There's devolution that's looking like it's coming down the road towards us. There's loads more things I could have talked about in that state of tendering statement, but I just wanted to give everyone a flavour of some of the huge number of things that this council, of which we are all members, and Mark was generous enough to take his hat off to me, and I take my hat off to everyone on this council, all 48 members, because I think we've worked really well together as a team. And it's not easy, it's pretty hard, because we don't all agree. We all come from different political backgrounds. We all have different views. We all have different takes on things. Even within our political groups, that is the case. And it would be very boring and dull, frankly, if it wasn't the case. And yet, despite that, when it comes to the big issues, we have, time and time again on this council, come together. Yes, we have our disagreements. Yes, we have our amendments and tight votes and what have you. But on the big issues, we put the residents first. We put the district first. We want what's best for tendering, for the people who live here, for the employers who want to work here and employ staff. And I am extraordinarily proud to have been a member of this council for the past 20 years and a leader for the majority of that time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. Moving on to item number 9, petition, put my teeth in, petitions to the council. There are none. Item number 10, questions pursuant to council procedure rule 10.1, pages 15 to 16. And at this point, I'm going to ask for Mr. Rendell to step forward. Thank you very much. If you sit, please, obviously the microphone will pick you up easier there as well. And the procedure will be, if you read your question out, Mr. Rendell, and then once you've completed your question, then take your seat back into the gallery there, and then Councillor Stock will give you the reply. Okay? Thank you, whenever you're ready, Mr. Rendell.
Is the microphone live?
It's live now.
Simple background, Seawick Road, Seaview Road in St Osyth are in a dangerous state and in urgent need of repair. I acknowledge that both roads are private roads and unadopted. I've set out, it's at page 15 of your agenda, the legal framework that underpins my question. I'm mindful of the time. I'm not going to take up your valuable time reading it here. It is, I would suggest, very clear. I suggest the following proposition, that Tendring District Council has a statutory power to carry out the urgent repairs that are required in Seawick Road and Seaview Road. And my question is this: does the council agree with my proposition? In which case, please outline the next steps to be taken by the council in relation to the two roads, or disagree with the proposition, in which case please provide a full and reasoned statement outlining the council's position on the applicability of section 230 subsection 7 of the Highways Act 1980. Over to you, councillor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rendell. If you can just switch your microphone off, that's it, and then take your seat. Thank you very much, much appreciated. Councillor Stock.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Rendell, for your very interesting question. And I did look up the legislation and I did read it, but I'm sure everyone will be delighted to know that this response I'm about to give has been run past our officers for technical and legalistic accuracy. Firstly, I need to clarify one point in the background to your question. Essex County Council is the adoption authority for roads and not the District Council. We are not the Highway Authority. In direct response, yes, the District Council does possess the statutory power as set out in the Highways Act 1980. However, it is just one of a vast range of discretionary powers that District Councils have. And the crucial distinction that needs to be made clear is that it is not a statutory duty. The District Council can only make decisions within its budget and policy framework whilst taking into account various considerations. I appreciate the frustration that is felt not just in Tendring, but right across the entire nation at the state of unadopted roads, and also the state of adopted roads, even including the strategic highway network of motorways and major A roads, with increasing numbers of potholes and deteriorating surfaces. But for the avoidance of doubt, this council cannot fix those problems. Not least because we must never take decisions in isolation. And unfortunately, this situation with unadopted roads is mirrored right across every part of Tendring. If the District Council decided to repair one road, why would that one take priority over another one? How would this impact our financial position and the ability to deliver important statutory services and other important discretionary functions which our wider residents and community of the district benefit from? The Highways Authority is the primary authority in such matters, and it may be required to pay for any costs incurred through their highways budgets, which the District Council does not possess. There used to be an arrangement with Essex County Council to take such actions, but this ceased well over a decade ago when funding was withdrawn. Ultimately, and this may be a harsh reality, it is the owners of private roads who are responsible for maintaining them, or alternatively, it falls to the property owners immediately abutting the road, known as frontages, to ensure that access to and egress from their property is safe and appropriate. The frontages may also be liable for the costs of making up to adoptable standard if undertaken by a local authority. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stock. And once again, thank you, Mr. Rendell, for your question. Thank you. Moving on to item number 11, report of the Leader of the Council. I believe there are none. And we'll move on to item number 12, minutes of committees, pages 17 to 92. Councillor Stock.
Yep, I'm happy to move on block, Chairman.
Okay, move on block and seconded. Okay, and I think we're all okay. So we'll say as carried. Thank you very much. Move on to item 13, which is the Tendring Colchester Borders Garden Community Joint Committee, pages 93 to 612. Okay, I'm looking towards Councillor Turner.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, and if that wasn't enough, there's another 3 or 4 pages for you to read on top of that as well. Good evening, fellow members. It gives me great pleasure to present and propose to the full council a recommendation from the Tendring Cultures Borders Garden Community Joint Planning Committee. We still can't decide on the name, which I chair. The development plan document, DPD, for the new town, as pages as mentioned by the chairman, plus the addendum. The recommendations that I will read out at the end of this statement are in the addendum, because we've just, having printed all this lot, they've decided to add another 2 items. Thank you, Gary. The full council, having taken into account the information, I'm sorry, only 57 weeks ago, I stood before you to recommend the adoption of our local plan, which I said would serve all of us well, and most importantly, the residents of Tendring. So it has proved to be. A major part of that plan was to collaborate with our neighbour, Colchester, now a city council, and the county. We formed a planning committee, unique, if not very rare, beast, as it covers 2 tiers of local government and 3 authorities. At a meeting of the joint committee on Monday night, it was agreed by a vote of 7 to 1 in favour to take the DPD to the full councils of Colchester, who are talking about it on the 23rd of March, and us tonight to agree that this document goes out to public consultation. All comments will be collated, then submitted with the DPD to the Secretary of State in order to commence the independent examination process. We have £99.9 million of government funding and an agreement with the developers to fully fund and deliver the link road and the rapid transit system, all riding on the timely progress of this DPD. This will enable planning applications to be submitted in 2024, determined in 2025, and the first new homes in 2026. If we delay the progress of the DPD, we risk losing the funding, losing the garden community, and having to go back to the drawing board with our long, hard-fought local plan. Time is of the essence. Mr. Chairman, I would like to propose A, the submission version of the plan for the Tendring Colchester Borders Garden Community, otherwise known as the Development Plan Document, or DPD Appendix 1, and Associated Sustainability Appraisal Appendix 2, along with the Strategic Master Plan and other related evidence listed as background documents, which together with the legal requirements of the planning system and the tests of soundness set out in the National Planning Policy Framework, having regard to the comments received in response to the 2022 Regulation 18 public consultation exercise, be published for 6 weeks consultation in line with Regulation 19 of the Town and Country Planning, Local Planning, England, Regulations 2012 as amended, and Regulation 13 of the Environmental Assessment of Plans and Programme Regulations, and thereafter submitted to the Secretary of State in line with Regulation 21 of the Town and Country Planning, Local Plan England, Regulation 2012, to begin the process of independent examination. B, the Garden Community Planning Manager, in consultation with Tendring District Council's Director of Planning, Colchester City Council's Executive Director of Place, and the Chairman and Vice Chairman of the Tendring Colchester Borders Garden Community Joint Committee, be authorised to make any minor editorial changes to the text maps in the submission version of the DPD and to make necessary updates and additions to the evidence base ahead of the publication for public consultation. C, welcomes the completion of the Memorandum of Understanding, which is intended to govern the relationship, collaboration and cooperation between the councils and Latimer in relation to the delivery of both phases of at the earliest opportunity of the A120, A133 link road, which will support the development of the garden community. And finally, D, endorses the recommendation of the officers from the council work with Latimer to explore the possibility of entering into an agreement which would detail how parties would work collaboratively for the duration of the project. delivering the vision of the future of the garden community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be pleased to take questions if required.
Thank you, Councillor Turner, the chairman of the Joint Committee. I'm looking for a seconder, and I'm looking at Councillor Bray.
Seconded, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Did you wish to speak now, Councillor Bray, or reserve your right to speak later?
I'll reserve my right. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And I didn't see who was first here, so we'll go for Councillor Bush, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Actually, it's more of a statement than a question. Sort of carrying on from what Councillor Turner said. As a member of the tendering Colchester Borders Garden Community Joint Committee, I've witnessed the significant and comprehensive work undertaken by the officers across 3 authorities and the professional consultant partners employed and engaged. The detailed evidence gathering, policy establishing to create what I personally believe is sound and substantive submission version of the development plan for Regulation 19, public consultation and the public examination. This vision and inspiration set out for the Garden Community Project shared across our respective authorities. In the adoption of Section 1, as we know, of the local plan was found sound and endorsed by the Plan Inspector. The vision shared by many to establish is to develop and create opportunity to live, breathe, work and grow future generations in a unique way. Housing which will mitigate speculative development across our district in the future. There's been many lessons learned along this journey. The past NEGC, which had its problems, to where we are now. And there will be many more challenges that we will face in the future. The public consultation of Regulation 18 conducted last year was a valuable insight to the complexities and trepidation amongst elements of our rural communities for this aspiration. Those responses and considerations taken on board has led to amendments to the scheme to some way mitigate public concerns. However, Regulation 19 public consultation will provide that opportunity to exercise opinions prior to the public examination. We're under no illusion that these significant organisations that we need are key partners to project to provide the legs and be the catalyst to deliver this ambition, the appetite, financial commitment and energy collectively. Essex County Council has secured an extension of time until 2026 for the HIF funding, demonstrating their ongoing financial commitment for this proposed link road. Clary and Latimer, as the master developer, have reaffirmed their commitment by signing an MOU, providing another level of comfort to back and deliver this scheme, which is in front of us tonight. Members, who can envisage what the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what the landscape will be? Volatility, economic change, political market forces that will influence the shape of this vision undoubtedly over time. Finally, I'm of the opinion it is now up to us, local authorities and custodians of the vision and the legacy, to be endorsing and recommending and supporting this DPD this evening. To stick further delays could put the whole garden community project at risk. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bush. I'm going to Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just say I attended the meeting, excellently chaired by Councillor Turner. It was well attended, and there were 19 speakers there, and they voiced their opinions on the garden communities and the project. A lot of work's got involved, and congratulations to Gary Guyver and his team have brought this forward. But consultation is key. This is a major project in our district, 30+ year project. And at the last round of consultation, I was very, very disappointed that we only had 4 hours of consultation in Elmsted Market. 9 till 11 one day and 6 till 8 on another day. And we had 20 people attended, myself, Councillor Wiggins, some parish councillors from Elster Market. And the only response we got out of that lot, the whole lot, was 193 responses. This garden community is in my ward and Councillor Wiggins' ward. It's a huge project, and most of this garden community is in my patch. Some of it is in Councillor Stock's patch, and the other part is Councillor Corey, Vaughan Jones, and Burrows in Colchester Borough and Wivenhoe. On the notable issues from the last consultation, a lovely diagram given out, 3 maps, 3 circles, Crockford Heath, Sulby Brook, and the bit near Wivenhoe. Nothing in the part of Elster Market. So I'm putting a plea that when you go to do a next round of consultation, is to make sure that Elster Market has more than 4 hours consultation. It wasn't advertised in our local parish magazine. It was advertised in a magazine or local newspaper that doesn't even go to Elster Market. It's so crucial. It's so important that people in West Hendron actually get the chance to go and voice their opinions about this. Can I also ask, when the consultation goes forward, can we have maps and detailed maps of, I mentioned this in the meeting, that the maps are wrong. There's new developments that have gone through in Elster Market. It's made that green gap smaller in Elster Market. So when you do your public consultation second round, that include them. The people in Elster Market will not appreciate them being ignored. I do appreciate this is a big, big project, and consultation is key, like I said previously. The people of Elster Market and the surrounding communities want to be involved. If they knew the consultation was going to, last time is 9 till 11 on one day and 6 till 8 on another day with leaflets and so on, there would be more people turning up, not just Councillor Wiggins and I and the parish councillors. That's not a true response from Elster Market. So I plead with you, Councillor Turner, and the officers to make sure that Elster Market in particular has a longer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Terry Allen.
Yes, I won't go into all this technical and that. All I would like to say is that I'm on Councillor Turner's committee, and I've been looking at this great, but then what finally got me around is when Gary Guyver, the head of planning, he came to the last briefing and put forward plans for these open green areas. So it's not going to be a mass of housing. It's going to be like Cocklefoot areas with the green links and all that. So we're not going to see mass housing estates. You're still going to have those nice bits. So when you pass the housing, you've got nice country lanes, tree line, so you're still in the country. Unlike what was done in my area, where they just built houses and houses and houses. And so hopefully they will all come to fruition and they will happen. And I would say for those that follow on, because this is going to take many years, that you keep an eye on it and make sure they do, because the developers are going to start getting hungry and hungry and hungry for more and more. But you've got to resist, because we've got to leave something, not just concrete and bricks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. If there's no more, there we go. Councillor Ivan Henderson.
Yeah, it's just a quick question. I think this came up at Essex County Council on the cabinets when this was going through, because it mentions about the increase in cost of the infrastructure through inflation, general rise in costs to the link road. And it also mentions in here that Essex County Council are obligated to use all reasonable endeavours to recover the Housing Infrastructure Fund money from development through planning contributions. What if they don't achieve that goal of achieving that money? What happens to that infrastructure? Will we end up with infrastructure which is not funded and houses being built without the infrastructure which was promised in the first place?
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. If we have no more questions, I'm going to go to Councillor Stock.
Thanks, Chairman. I just want to speak generally to the item. I think that as Councillor Allen just said, a terrific amount of work has gone into this by members, but also by some of our officers, present and past. I remember right at the early days of Garden Communities, Martin Nappett, who was Deputy Chief Executive of this authority, becoming a kind of overnight planning expert where he'd had no previous, very sensibly, very little previous experience of planning. And planning doesn't always get a very positive sort of light in the media. I've just been watching the Clarkson's Farm Part 2. I don't know if any of you have seen that, but it would be fair to say that district council planning departments don't come out of that covered in too much glory. But here in Tendring, we've got a positive, and that can-do attitude I spoke about is evident in our planning department and the members that we've got sitting on it, chaired ably by Nick. I put with Mike over there, with Carlo, who's not here tonight, and obviously with Jeff as a substitute. They've done a terrific job fighting for what's good for this district and what's good for the whole area. This is a really exciting, nationally significant planning project. And remember, we got our local plan through. Finally, and at last, we got our local plan agreed because we've got this garden community in it. It's a fundamental and inextricable part of our local plan, and without it, it all falls down. We've also got this huge amount of government funding for the link road. We don't want the nightmare scenario that Councillor Henderson is suggesting could happen of the funding running out and we don't get the road, but we do get all the houses. We absolutely must not let that happen. So I look forward to this being agreed today, going out to consultation, ultimately being signed off by His Majesty's Planning Inspector at such an appropriate time in the future, and seeing those first houses go up after that link road has already been built or at least commenced work. So I commend this to Council. I hope we can all agree this unanimously here tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. I'm going to go to the portfolio holder for planning, Councillor Bray, and then back to Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very pleased to be able to speak on this. Firstly, I was disappointed to hear the comments from Councillor Scott, and I'm sure every effort will be made to ensure that that is rectified. Let's remember this time what we're voting for tonight is to send this to consultation. So the opportunity is there to make the consultation better for the people of Elmstead and the surrounding areas this time, and I'm sure we'll strive to do that. I want to talk about perhaps the bigger picture. I think Councillor Bush has done some of the technical stuff far better than I could have. He's attended more meetings than I have. But I did attend the most recent one last Monday and was incredibly impressed to see three councils, not all necessarily of the same political colour, working incredibly well together. And they did work well together, and they have done for a very long time. And I've no doubt there have been difficulties and things that have needed to be resolved and disagreements, and yet they've worked through them. And I think the first thing I want to do is pay tribute to our officers, along with the officers of Colchester City Council and Essex County Council, for the tremendous amount of work they've done. I know there's a lot of work because I sat and read the 547-page document that was required for last Monday's meeting. I used to suffer with insomnia. It's better now. There was an awful lot of really interesting stuff in there, and we could go into the minutiae, but I don't want to do that. I want to look at what we're dealing with here. We're looking at 7,500 new houses. We all agree we need new homes. We need new homes for our young people. They need them to live in. A substantial number of those new houses will go to housing association for lower rent accommodation, which we know as a nation we're short of. We're doing our bit there. It includes 25 hectares of employment land. That's employment land that will provide jobs for people who can go out, earn their living, and put the meals on the table for their families. That's there too. It provides a country park, a good country park, serious place for people to go for leisure, quiet, peace. It's got that. Strategic green gaps all the way around it. And the country park and the green gaps and the rest of the way the whole thing is developed is just good for ecology. It's considered everything from the smallest ant to the largest cow. Everything has been taken into account. I'm immensely impressed with the work that's gone on here. Add to that a rapid transit system, and add to that the potential increase in size of a university, one of the best universities in the country, which potentially allows for far, far more of our younger people to benefit from higher education. And there's too much here not to be impressed with. Is it perfect? Probably not, because it will be built out over 30 years. 30 years ago, the internet was in its infancy. Who knows where we'll be in 30 years' time, but we won't be where we are. The link road also is really important, and it relies on this. Members, I can only ask and plead, please support this tonight. Let it get it out to consultation. Let's have the people tell the inspector what they think, because that's what they'll be doing this time. Let's get this moving. It's big. It's very big, but actually it's the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. And if I can say, being a member of the planning committee, I know just how important this local plan is, and the garden community, with the decisions that we make on builds and applications throughout our district. So, you know, I can say that I'll certainly be supporting it. Thank you, Councillor Bray. I'm going to go to Councillor Turner once again.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all for your kind comments, and I'll take them. I'll deal with, if I may, Councillor Scott. I quite agree with you. Consultation was abysmal. I said so at the time behind the scenes and got nowhere. And I'm sure the comments that you made both on last Monday, and you've been consistent and constant in this on several, at least 3 occasions I can remember, including tonight. And I'm sure those comments will have gone through, and I know very well our Director of Planning will have taken them on board and be able to go through. It is a joint planning committee, remember. It's not just us dealing with this. It's not as we can do here, nice and cosy, talk to our officers quietly and say, look, surely we can do a little bit better. It doesn't quite work like that. And that's where one of the big learning curves has been for our officers to work with other officers who have different processes and different views and different relationships with their members. And that has taken a lot of learning, and a lot of corners have been knocked off and rubbing together. And as I said on Monday night, I think they've done a wonderful job. And then you add in county on top of all that, and I won't say any more on that. So that will, I'm sure, going through. I also do remember after the election, this will be a very different place. So whomever succeeds us, if I'm not, and whoever puts us into, and if we are re-elected, who knows if you'll have to hold the same positions. So we can only leave these as comments for the next council and the minutes, and we hope the next person will be able to read the next council will be able to read the minutes and relate back to them and do something. Councillor Allen, thank you for your kind comments. It is a garden community, and it is being set into 3 areas. You've got the south, the north, and Crockleford Heath. And there'll be different densities there and different others, but they will be, they're looking at make them virtually self-contained communities, all grouped together and joined by cycle tracks and public right of ways. No cars. If you want to join, if you want to go from one community to the next. No, yeah, I know. I'm not sure I agree with that. But anyway, no cars. Cars will be, they'll obviously be able to get to your homes. But if you want to go to the next community, you have to go onto the link road, up and down and in.
Can we have quiet, please, from the audience? You've got to be quiet, please. Thank you.
So it is what it says. It is the garden community. It is Ebenezer Howard who laid down the theory and the ground rules for a garden community some 100+ years ago. And most of those are being followed. Councillor Henderson, infrastructure. May I refer you to the MOU in front of you? As you have, it's been tabled. I made sure of that. And there's a memorandum of understanding. And if you refer to item I, halfway down the 2nd page, and the last part of that, and I'll read it out. This phase that we're going to be delivering the link road in 2 parts. As you quite rightly said, inflation has hit this, and the grant has not gone up. Would you bear with me? I've got a few more words to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what it says here is this phased delivery approach involves the use of the secured HIF money, Housing Infrastructure Fund, to deliver the first phase of the link road and the rapid transit scheme, with the second phase being funded through developer contributions from the development of the TCBGC or external funding sources that may become available, with continued involvement from the councils to support the delivery of the full link road. I hope that answers your question and satisfies you. And finally, Councillors Bush, thank you very much. I couldn't have done that without your invaluable support. and us talking with each other quietly and being able to bounce ideas and ways forward and looking at it and trying to put things when we hit bumps in the road, trying to put them into perspective. It was much appreciated and it will not be forgotten. So thank you very much, Anne, for your kind words. Councillor Stock, similar. Thank you very much for your backing and giving me full and allowing me full rein, which I do need to push things through. So I do appreciate that very much. And finally, Councillor Bray, for your kind comments and also putting in a nutshell to this council that is only going out to consultation. All we're doing is then collating the responses and sending one to the inspector. And the sooner we can do that, the better. Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you very much, Council. And finally, sorry, one more last word. I have to thank from the bottom of my heart our Director of Planning, Mr. Gary Guyver. He and I have been talking. He and I have been talking with each other every week without fail. And when I couldn't make it, he's made arrangements. When he couldn't make it, I've made arrangements. We've got a wonderful working relationship, and one actually that I shall remember for the rest, whatever years I have left. I just thank him and his team and Amy coming on board. Sorry, Ms. Leston, coming on board at the last minute and grabbing it with both hands. May I add, a complex situation and being able to talk to all of us and be accurate at the same time. Very difficult and very well done to all you and your backroom staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. We have let that go on a little bit longer because of the significance of this and the importance of this topic and to the district and the vote. So we will now go to the hugely important vote. With a show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you. Any against? Any abstain? I think that's unanimous. Thank you. Well done, councillors. Thank you. Okay, but move on to item 14 of the agenda, which is a motion to the council, ring fencing of capital receipts arising from the disposal of surplus land, pages 613, 614 of the agenda. And I go straight to Councillor Steady.
Again, I've not said anything yet.
Councillor Steady, if you just pause for a moment, just let the ladies and gentlemen leave. I think, Councillor Steady, you can go now. I don't know where. No, you can't go. No, you. I think, have they heard your speech before? I don't know. But by all means, carry on there, please, Mr. Steady. Sorry, Councillor Steady. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the motion is that this council resolves to recommend to Cabinet that A, any future capital receipts arising from the disposal of surplus land to be ring-fenced for investing back into the town or parish it is located in. And in the case of Brightlingsea, this would include the proceeds from the future disposal of land in Dover Road, identified in the report to Cabinet on the 15th of July 2022. And B, the relevant town/parish council be consulted on any such investment proposals. I move.
Thank you, Councillor Steady. And who will second that? Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Thank you. Councillor Chapman, did you want to speak now?
No, I reserve my right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steady, you need to say why you would like it heard this evening?
Yep, certainly, Chair. So the reasons for taking it on the night tonight is one that we're coming obviously to the end of the council cycle. Process of land disposal in Brightlingsea has already started. There are early links up to policies which have already been announced. There's opportunities in the pipeline to raise match funding. Joint schemes between Tendring District Council and Brightlingsea Town Council. Working with Tendring District officers to cut waiting lists, thereby saving officer time. By taking the motion tonight, it will tidy things up, and by adopting the motion, it will be a platform for the new administration to build on and cut the time scale of delivering schemes. My view is, and has been, is that there is much kudos attached to big schemes, and I think that's been proved by the leader's statement tonight, with some very good schemes which have been announced. But I believe we could have winners by delivering smaller schemes across the whole of the district by using this extra finance from land disposal. And wouldn't it be nice that when that money is used, that at the leader's speech every year, he would bring up a scheme that has been adopted in every parish and town council, thereby showing our residents that we care about all towns and parishes. Adopting this motion tonight will be the start of that initiative. Chairman, I'd just like to congratulate you on a very successful year and really to bring that to a very successful conclusion. If you'd like to take this on the night, that would be most appreciated.
Thank you, Councillor Steady, and thank you for your very kind words. Councillor Chapman, I'm going to go to you as to why you think it should be heard this evening, and then I'm going to go to Councillor Stock. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to reinforce what Councillor Steady has said. The process of land disposal has already started. Now would be a better time to debate this motion. Councillors here have experience. They've listened to the land disposal arguments. Several new councillors could be sitting in our seats in a few months after the elections, not really understand what is going on. This would be an ideal time to prove to the residents that two councils can work together and achieve projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman and Councillor Stock.
Blimey. Where to begin, Chairman? I'll try not to discuss the merits of the actual motion, other than to point out that it means that places in the district that have large council-owned assets would benefit, but places that don't have anything are never going to get any investment. It would mean that the parish of Wheelie is going to do very well, because we're about to sell off the former town hall there, council offices there. But this is clearly, and the motion actually states it in the opening line, that council wants to resolve to recommend to cabinet. It can only ever be a recommendation to cabinet. Under the cabinet system of executive decision making, it is cabinet that makes decisions like this. It isn't council. This has to go to cabinet under our current constitution to be for a recommendation, and that will be done and come back to the new council post election. And there won't be any land being sold off in the interim or in the meantime. So there's nothing to worry about or stress about. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, Chairman. The motion, if it was agreed tonight unanimously, would have completely zero effect. Completely pointless motion, because it doesn't change what cabinet does or doesn't do. It just makes a recommendation that everyone forgets about in 6 months' time. But it should go to cabinet to be discussed, and we can put a formal response back to council post-election. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Stark. I'm just going to get some advice from the monitoring officer and also the 151 officer, if I may, on this matter before I make a decision on whether it can be heard this evening. Thank you. Okay, I mean, I've listened to sort of both sides. I do understand what you're saying, Councillor Steady, but the simple fact is I've had clarification that this is an executive function for them to consider the sort of budgetary needs, etc., of the district. So my decision is that it won't be heard this evening, and that this matter will be referred to Cabinet for an executive decision. Thank you. So we move on to the next item on the agenda, item 15. Just bear with me 1 second. Sorry, members, we do have to pause for a minute. Okay, members, sorry about that. Well, it's just been pointed out that through the Constitution, Councillor Steady, you do have the option to discuss your motion this evening. They will explain your motion. There won't be a debate, or you can wait until the Cabinet and put it to and explain it to them then. But the Constitution does say you can explain your motion if you haven't done so already. But It won't be debated this evening.
Yeah, well, I've got 54 notes here, so I'd just like to say that the leader did really, I think, confuse matters. I think it's a basic question, really, of putting and to use his words, to put the destiny back into our own hands. It's all about finding the right balance. I'm sure you remember those words. And doing things in a proportionate way while not worrying about things we cannot control. I'm sure you remember those words. And we all know that local government is a diverse and varied business, taking in social value, health and inequality, climate change and social inclusions. And as I pointed out at the budget meeting, our ward, especially in Brightlingsea, is a record of overachieving in many areas. The adoption of this motion will build on that success, and I think that's basically what I pointed out at the budget meeting. And it will be a meaningful fiscal devolution from TDC to Brightlingsea Town Council, which will be a precursor of fiscal devolution from central government to local government, which we were told at the budget meeting that can't come quick enough. So why can't it come now between TDC and Brightlingsea Town Council? And we will be ahead of the game. And this would contribute to the flexibility required to deliver specific schemes, which I'm sure the leader remembers that he pointed this out. And we will be, by adopting this ethos, we will challenge everything. And you'll be familiar with these words. We will challenge everything we currently do and squeeze as much value out of it in everything we do. It's a different way of delivering services and facilities, but it is similar to the land swap at Vista Road, which was an integral part of the refurbishment of the works at Clacton Leisure Centre, the all-weather pitch, funded by Football Foundation and a contribution from Essex County Council. My understanding is that any finance raised by the disposal of surplus land is not allocated to anything specific, but it could help in other ways. I've mentioned officer time. Just an aside, we have 40 residents waiting in Brightlingsea for a site to site remembrance plaques on seats on the Western Prom. Obviously, it would take years to accommodate all of that list. But we have a seafront shelter which needs to be refurbished, offering the opportunity for people to have their plaques placed on the shelter walls. That would...
Councillor Steady, would you mind just sort of wrapping up now, please? Thank you.
I will. Yeah, thank you very much. And that would then, in conjunction with the land disposal finance for the refurb, while cutting down on officer time to manage the system, which already has got 40 applicants. Remember what I said at the last at the budget meeting? A refusal was requested.
Councillor Steady, that is time now.
Yeah, okay, I'll just finish. 2 seconds. It's a wonderful opportunity, and the strap line is to see what is and ask why, and to see what could be and ask why not. And my final words are, dare to be different. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Steady. Right, the Constitution, it's all been pointed out to me, is that Councillor Chapman also has the right to stand up and talk about this motion as well. Councillor Chapman.
Mine's going to be much quicker. Many towns and parishes have got small projects that are waiting to be progressed or be completed. This could be a good way of achieving a positive outcome. Again, highlighting how district and town or parish councils work together. Perhaps enabling them to match fund to complete their projects. Guidelines need to be put down. There has to be a good project. I'm not saying just give it to the town or parish to spend it. It's often said, don't sell the family silver, but I'm sure if you can tell your residents, in our case, we have a piece of land, that money could be spent on a project that is waiting to be done in their town, this would pacify or, you know, benefit their community. My concern is the money that comes from these pieces of land, whatever, goes into a general pot. Nobody sees where it goes. It's a one-off chance. Let's see a good one-off project in the area. As I said, there has to be a good project, and only if this project is viable. If not, the towns and parishes that do not have any good projects, the money should be given to the areas that do not have land to sell, if you like, or pass on. I just highlight, to me, it is just a very good way of a town and a district council working together.
Thank you, Councillor Chapman. Thank you, Councillor Steady, for a rather unusual item on the agenda. We're not debating it this evening, but thank you very much. We now move on to the next item. Which is item 15, report submitted to the council by the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. There are none. Item 16, and this is the annual capital and treasury strategy for 23-24, pages 615 to 660. Councillor Stock.
Chairman, I will move the recommendation as printed on the bottom of page 615.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. And okay, yeah. I'm going to go to Councillor Ivan Henderson. Thank you.
It's just a question, Chairman. In here, it refers to the Public Works Loan Board, and it talks about changes they brought in 2021 about councils making investments for a return. Is that related to a situation that Essex County Councillors did, where they invested in 3 properties outside of their county? I don't believe the government was very happy with councils for doing that when they could have invested that money within their own county for regeneration purposes to support their own area rather than invest outside for return, which is unfair competition, I suppose, to the commercial world.
I'll go to Councillor Stock.
I was kind of banking on there not being any questions on this one, but thank you for that, Councillor Henderson. I have to say that it was a decision, a sort of deliberate policy decision that this cabinet took, that we wouldn't invest outside the district. And I remember us looking at a particular investment that was in Lincolnshire somewhere, but we just felt it was kind of fundamentally wrong to be investing outside the district. We might have got a better return. It might have been a better use of taxpayers' money, but it also may well not have been. And certainly if you look at some of the I don't want to sort of point fingers at other local authorities, but it's difficult not to. Some of the problems that we've seen on other local authorities in terms of their investments that have gone spectacularly wrong, some of those quite clearly were made outside the boundaries of their own authority. So I think, yes, what you're getting at there is probably fundamentally correct.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. And no more. No, okay, right, okay, well then we go to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Abstentions? Okay, thank you very much, members. Thank you. That's formally adopted. Thank you. Okay, item 17 on the agenda, which is the proposed amendments to the joint council's, sorry, to the council's constitution, pages 661 to 676. Once again, Councillor Stock.
I'm doing the heavy lifting tonight, Chairman, in Councillor Guglielmi's absence. I believe that Carlo is actually watching us on the live stream, so I'll kind of wave at the camera to Carlo and wish him all the best. He's recuperating, and we hope gets better very, very quickly. And we need him back because I don't want to do all this work for him. But Chairman, if I can move the recommendation as printed there on the bottom of page 661, there's a whole raft of amendments to the Constitution. And I'll pay tribute. I know it's been said before, particularly by Carlo, but I'll pay tribute to Carlo as well, is that the working group that he leads on the Constitution has done a phenomenal amount of work over the past several years now in tweaking and fine-tuning and improving constantly our Constitution so that it works better. So credit to everyone who's taken part in that, and that's quite a few members actually. It's not easy going through the Constitution. You know, it's a very legalistic process. I'm not going to say it's dull or boring, but some might think of it as that. But it is really important. It is really important that we have a Constitution that's fit for purpose, that works for us, that achieves for this council what we want it to achieve. And we've got a few more amendments. I commend to council, and I hope we can agree them all tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. I can see no indication from anybody wishing to speak. Okay, so we'll go straight to the vote then. All those in favour? No, according to the notes here, no seconders required. All those against? And thank you very much. And no abstentions? Is no any abstentions? No. Okay, and that's carried. Thank you very much, members. Item 18 of the agenda, which is cyber security for the council, pages 677 to 740. There is an amendment on the table in front of all members, and I'm going to go to Councillor Clifton. Oh, no, I don't. I'm not going to that at all. Sorry, beg your pardon. Sorry, I'm going to Councillor Stock once again. I was trying to give him a night off. He's been working so hard there. So
no, I moved the recommendation. It has to be moved before it can be amended. You see, on page 680, in volume 2 of our agendas tonight, there's a recommendation, which is the one agreed by Cabinet. And I move that. And just before Councillor Clifton moves his amendment, and I have briefly discussed with him before the meeting, and I'm grateful to Councillor Clifton for submitting the amendment before the meeting, so we had a chance to have a very quick look at it. And I don't think, and as I said to Councillor Clifton before the meeting, I don't think we're miles apart here. Essentially, this is about data security and us potentially sort of being struck off from some of the government's secure networks if we don't change our practices. And the point of concern is the automatic forwarding of councillor emails to councillors' personal or private email addresses. It's a little bit like sending out blue page agendas to a sort of unknown address, or just sort of chucking them out of a bus window to some extent because we don't know where they're going to go. That's a concern. And if we don't stop that practice forthwith, then we're going to get struck off from the government mailing list, whether we like it or not. And it's about finding a solution to that still enables members to carry out their duties and their work and their role as an elected member, whether that's a backbench member, chairman of the committee, leader of the council, or whatever it is. And what's become, I think, clear in the discussions we've had, even within Cabinet, is that everyone has a different approach and uses IT slightly differently to everyone else. So there isn't one sort of magic wand solution to this issue that will fit everyone. So for some people, they access their emails on a laptop once a day, once a week, whatever it is for them, and that works fine. Other people like to have it on their phone, and there are issues security-wise with that. So Cabinet's recommendation, which Councillor Clifton will be talking, looking to amend in a minute, suggests the option, and this is what I've just moved, of a portal that we look at getting a portal, similar to having your banking app on your phone, where we can all these days access, for example, our bank accounts and pay bills and make transactions by going through some clever security on an app that we've had to download from our bank and then go through some quite stringent security and put in all sorts of passcodes. And the thinking is that we could have an app like that where we can access our TDC email securely on our own personal device. However, the cost of that we're not sure about at the moment, and it could be very expensive on an ongoing basis. And the other solution, of course, is that members are all given a mobile phone by the council, or that members get their own dual SIM phone. And many of our phones these days apparently are dual SIM, and you just get given a SIM card by the council, and then you can access it. So there are various solutions, but the one that we've recommended there is that, and it will require further executive decisions before it comes into force, is that we pursue the portal, but we pursue all options going forward. So I'll shut up at that point, Chairman, and let Councillor Clifton take the floor, and I'll come back later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. I was trying to give you a bit of a breather there, but I will now go to Councillor Clifton.
Thank you very much, Chairman. There's been a lot of talk tonight already so far, and there's probably going to be a lot more talking on this. So I believe everyone has a written copy of the agenda of the amendment. I'll move the amendment as written and leave it there for now, if that's okay, unless you would like me to read it.
Councillor Clifton, so you need a seconder as well, please. Councillor Allen will second the proposal. Thank you. Councillor Clifton, you can now speak now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. There are so many issues regarding cyber security. It's almost not even an issue of data protection almost when it comes to the issue of the mobile phone. What I'd like to do to start with really is thank the rest of my task and finishing group who worked so well with me on this. And we produced a report that was so good, it's received praise at both scrutiny and cabinet. And it's why I was a bit confused when the cabinet, they came back with a recommendation to continue exploring the members portal when it's already been done. Officers have already done the groundwork. It's written in your agendas tonight. If members will turn to page 712 of their agendas, it's got there option 4. As a task and finishing group, we were given 4 options to look at. Option 4 was a member web portal app. There you can see in the second column, it will say estimated one-off setup cost of £16,000 and potential annual on-running cost of £70,000 a year over the course of a 4-year administration. That's the cost of the Clacton Air Show, which is why, as a task and finishing group, we were unanimous in deciding that a mobile phone option was the simplest, in the sense that we have a scheme running for the cabinet members already, and it's a simple expansion of that. So our staff and officers don't have to do a lot with that. It is potentially the cheapest option, either costing £8,000 to issue a phone to every single member, or if that cannot be found in the budget, for members to pay for it about £16, £17 a month out of their allowances, in which case there is nil cost to this council. And the third option, most of all, is greater security and most mitigated risk, in the sense that it gives us as members an option to keep our personal lives and our council lives completely separate. And this isn't just a question now of us as members being responsible members and protecting the council from an exterior threat. We also have, as members, we also have a duty of care to protect ourselves from a threat. I think it was in cabinet, I think the leader announced that we are the 3rd most attacked local authority in the country. If we went down the members portal route, and unfortunately, if we was unlucky enough to be infiltrated, there is nothing then stopping that attack filtering down from this council to then all of our own personal devices, and us all being included in that single attack. There is also an issue that's come to my light just recently, is there are very many different forms of cyber attack. And the leader mentioned earlier in his speech that a lot can happen in a week in politics. Well, a lot more happens in cyber security, unfortunately, in a week. A couple of weeks ago, there was a very, very unfortunate incident up north where a mum went missing in the river, as we're all aware. And the local authority, the members of the local authority have now all been removed. All of their contact information has had to be removed from the local council website because its members were bombarded with texts, phone calls, emails, messages, social networking, social media. All of it was thrown at their local councillors so much they've had to completely remove themselves from public life. Again, like I said, the mobile phone option gives us an easy way of separating our personal lives and our council lives. And that is why I think this amendment should be heard this evening, because it puts this issue to bed before we move on to the next council, and it saves our officers going over the same ground they've gone over already. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Clifton. Councillor Allen, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, I agree with my colleague because, as I say, well, the situation now is I have a council laptop, and because I wasn't privileged of being here before last year, I don't get emails sent to my personal. I have to have it on that machine or I don't get them at all. Consequently, I can't carry that around with me all the time, so I can only do it either in the evening or whenever I can. And it's so inconvenient that when even members of the public get in touch with me, I won't know they've done that until later on in that day or perhaps the next day. With a mobile phone, as I say, you've got it there. You stop for a cup of tea, you just flick through, and then you can see everything that's on there. And all that aside, because you know it makes sense having it there, because we all do it all the time anyway. Starting when we was back with the BlackBerries, which we now progressed that these new smartphones do everything. So, but it's the cost. I mean, even if we have the councillors paying for it, it's 16 quid a week. When it may be hard for a basic councillor, you know, but not them over there. I mean, it just like buying a sandwich and a cup of tea. But I really think this is an excellent idea, and I'm sure that if you talk to many people, they will think the same. But to going on that old portal and the ongoing costs are horrendous, and it doesn't stop there. I mean, Councillor Clifton he's talked about the threats are you're more vulnerable with that system than a mobile phone. If the phone's put without the system we got now and the equipment we got now, if it's hacked, all they got to do is shut that down. And that's it. It doesn't affect anything else. So I will be voting for this, and hopefully a lot of other people that see the sense of it will go along with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Allen. I'm going to open it up for debate now, but before we go to the vote, Councillor Clifton, I will need you to actually read out your motion in full so that the people actually watching online who haven't got the agendas actually can hear what it's all about. Okay, so we'll go to debate if anyone wishes to make comment. Councillor Coley.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Very short from me. This council has a clear responsibility to act appropriately and without undue delay to mitigate or eradicate any risk discovered by our audit and risk processes or identified to the council by any credible external source. Page 681 of your agenda clearly documents that risks have been identified to this council some time ago concerning the practice of auto-forwarding of council emails. These documented risks have been identified by internal audit and as part of a government health check on local authority security resilience. If this council continues to take no action to at least mitigate that risk, I suggest that this council is seriously failing to discharge its duty. It's also my opinion that the allocation of appropriately encrypted and secured mobile telephones may provide some convenience to some members. However, the practice will inevitably identify other risks when subjected to audit. However, I do recommend acceptance of this amended motion. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Coley. Anybody else? Nobody else indicating to speak? Okay. Oh, there we go. Councillor Knowles. Thank you.
Thank you. As someone has not only been hacked once, but twice through my own personal device, I will be happy to have the mobile if I'm re-elected, because I'd rather keep council and my personal life separate. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Knowles. There you go.
That's Amos.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Amos.
Thank you, Chairman. As I stated before, I'm a full-time working councillor, and I have issues, obviously, I've had to address for my residents. So I need to be in touch with them all the time. If a resident sends me an email, or I get a message from an officer about a council meeting, I cannot access that until 6 o'clock at night when I get home. I am, tied really. So I've got no problem at all of carrying two phones with me, one for my personal use and one for the council. And I believe that when you're a councillor, it's a form of a job. And I know we get an allowance, but it's still a form of a job. And I think you should have a work phone. As simple as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, councillor Amos. And I think it was councillor Placey.
Yeah, very, very briefly. We've already got a system that works, haven't we, with members of the cabinet? So I can't understand why we shouldn't just roll it out.
Thank you, councillor Placey. If there's no more, I'm going to go back to, last minute there, councillor Mark Stevenson.
Thank you, Chairman. Having read the motion, which I only got to when we arrived here, I'm in support of it. On a generality, wanting for a better word, I think the problem I've got is that we've known about the problem for quite some time. The fact that we're not making a decision on this and kicking it down the road and keep kicking it down the road, as the chairman of audit quite rightly identified, this is something we need to act upon. And the current recommendations put forward by the administration don't go far enough on that front. And if they're minded to refuse the current recommendation from the opposition, then I would like to see some sort of commitment to get this done before the new administration comes in May, because this will make a much stronger problem for us when we have existing councillors in the new administration. Expectations from the new councillors can be managed if we make the decision now or before the May elections. If we do it afterwards, we're changing something that's just going to make it that much harder to do. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Stevenson. Councillor Scott.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. A total agreement with all my colleagues. The new councillors that may get elected coming forward down the line, they may want some assurance that when they are acting as a councillor, their duties as a councillor, they can be assured that they are safe. The idea is we need new councillors will come forward, new to this way of life. Some councillors, myself, Councillor Tolbert and Councillor Turner, the long-serving councillors here, and also Councillor Stock. But we know how things work. But when new councillors come in, I think there's some sort of safety net, security, like they feel they're safe when they're doing council work and council duties. And like Councillor Knowles was saying, link it separately from their personal phone and life and council duties. So I fully support what Councillor Clifton's put forward, and I do hope councillors support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, councillor Scott. I'm going to go to councillor Clifton first. Oh, okay. I'm going to come back to councillor Stock first.
I've been giving this some thought, listening to the conversation, and I think I can accept the amendment. As I said at the beginning, I'm certainly not going to die in ditch. I think the key thing is, as Councillor Stevenson said, and the Councillor Cody said, is that we actually do something positive, and we do actually switch off the auto forwarding of emails. There has been the big bone of contention in terms of audit and in terms of the risks to the integrity of the authority. And as Councillor Clifton quoted me at Cabinet saying that we are the second, I think it is, most attacked, although God knows why that is particularly, but it's a fact that we are constantly under assault, under attack from hackers and the cyber threats coming from Russia. And I think looking at it, that Councillor Clifton's suggested form of words achieves what we want to achieve better than mine from Cabinet. I don't like the idea, though, that members might have to pay for devices out of their own pockets to do their job as a councillor if they've been elected. And I do think there should be a commitment to pony up the dough, as it were, and to put the proper resources in place. I mean, I hate to disabuse Councillor Scott of the notion about being safe. You're never going to be safe as a councillor, and it would be dangerous to think you were. But we do need to make sure that people have got the tools to do the job. And these days, and it wasn't the case 20 years ago when I first got elected, we were just starting to give out things like IT and that 2003. It's a very new thing, wasn't it? But these days, you simply can't function as a councillor without access, immediate access, quite frankly, to email. Now, I know some people seem quite happy to log into their emails just once a day, but I think that's the big issue. On the one hand, we're trying to balance the security, the cyber security of the authority. And on the other hand, we're trying to make sure that members have got immediate access, easy, simple, and immediate access to all the business of the council through emails in particular. Maybe in another 5 or 10 years, no one's using emails. I think that's highly likely. I mean, we've seen a merge. No one text messages anymore. They're on WhatsApps or Snapchats or whatever it is, whatever the latest thing is. So who knows where it will end up? But at the moment, we've got this big risk. We need to tackle it. So that being the case, I'm looking at Councillor Clifton's amendment, trying to sort of see that's an IT issue over there. Trying to pick holes in it, and I'm struggling. So I am. I mean, obviously there will still be decisions that need to be taken post-election by the new administration. What's important, I think, is that we agree today that we're going to switch off the auto forward, that we're going to try and put in place. Yeah. Right, as Councillor Calvert just said, I do, and I did say that at the beginning. I accept the amendment. I'm not trying to do it through gritted teeth. I'm just genuinely, honestly, just trying to make sure that we are dotting all the i's across the t's and not making a problem for ourselves. And I think, and I'm happy to accept that Councillor Clifton's amendment probably achieves what we want to achieve as a council better than the Cabinet's terribly well intended different form of words. So yeah, I'm happy to accept it.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. And just by example, I think at that moment in time, Councillor Alexander had just been hacked. So we just need to get clarification on the procedural, what we need to do now that you've accepted the amendment. So just, if you can just bear with us 1 second, please. Councillor Stock, can you confirm that the wording in this amendment is what you're accepting? And if it is yes, then that then becomes the substantive motion. Thank you very much. Councillor Clifton, if you can now read this as the substantive motion, then we will then follow that with a vote. Thank you.
Bedtime night story. Here we go. Agenda item 18, cybersecurity for the council. Amendment to the cabinet recommendation to be moved by myself, Councillor Paul Clifton. That the council, having considered the outcome of the inquiry into cybersecurity undertaken through the Resources, Services, Overview and Scrutiny Committee, determines to adopt the following as recommended by the Resources and Overview Scrutiny Committee. A. It is recognised that the provision of mobile phones will provide a practical solution to enable members to access their TDC email accounts, and that under the newly elected council from May 2023, the practice of auto-forwarding of TDC member emails to non-TDC accounts be ceased, and that, point 1, subject to the associated funding of £8,000 being identified, a standard council-managed smartphone, in addition to the council-managed laptop, be provided to those members that want one to access emails and be contactable when mobile. 2, should it not prove possible to fund the smartphone costs centrally, then each member requesting a standard council managed mobile smartphone be asked to fund the cost from their allowances, approximately £200 per annum. B, subject to A, full council continues to acknowledge the ongoing risk to the council that in acting as data controller, it could potentially be in breach of the Data Protection Act 2018, and that risk will remain whilst the auto forwarding of council's emails practice continues.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Clifton. We can now go straight to the vote. So all those in favour of that substantive motion? Thank you. Any against? Okay, 1 against, 2, sorry. 2. Right, 2 against. And any abstentions? No, okay, that's carried. Thank you very much, members. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Let's move on to the next item, number 19, which is the report of the Chief Executive, term of office for the members of the Independent Remuneration Panel, pages 741 to 742. And we go to Councillor Stock.
I understand this entire item is on the agenda purely because of Councillor Henderson moving a slight amendment last time. No, I'm jesting slightly, but I move the recommendation on page 742 that the Council approves term of office for the IRP panel members who expressed interest in doing so to be extended for a further year. Members will recall the slightly amended version of the IRP report that we agreed at the last council meeting following a suggestion from Councillor Henderson that was universally agreed that in the case of a member wishing to claim a third special responsibility allowance rather than the Chief Executive signing it off, that it be a recommendation of the IRP to full council to make that decision, and therefore we need the IRP to exist or carry on existing for a little bit longer in order to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stock. I'm looking for a seconder, and I'm going to go to Councillor Ivan Henderson.
Happy to second, Chairman.
Councillor Henderson is seconding that motion. Thank you. And does anybody wish to speak or any questions on that? No? Okay, we'll go straight to the vote on this one. All those in favour? Thank you. Any against? That's carried. Thank you. And any abstentions? 2 abstentions. Okay, thank you. That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got the next item, which is item 20 on the agenda.
Chairman, if I may, that I declare an interest in this item and
You certainly, at this point, our Chief Executive Indozen will leave the room, as will the monitoring officer. Thank you. I'm now sitting on my own and I'm now beginning to panic. What fun we can have now. So Keith's here to keep an eye on me. Okay, right. This is pay policy statement 2324, pages 743 to 758 of the agenda. Okay, and this item I'm going to go to Councillor Jane Chapman, be the chair of the Human Resources Committee. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you. I'd just like to recommend the recommendations.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chapman. And I don't think we need a seconder on this one. No, we don't need a seconder. Do we have any questions or anybody wish to debate this? No? Okay, we could take a time on this one and keep them out of the room. Okay, all those in favour then, we'll go straight to the vote. Thank you. Any against? No. Any abstentions? No, thank you very much. That one's carried. Thank you. We'll pause for one moment. Go now. That's I think a 10 to 15% pay cut is very, very fair. So. We've got to pay for the phone somehow. Item number 21, which is questions pursuant to Council Procedure Rule 11.2. There are none. Number 22, urgent matters for debate. There are none. And I believe that's at the end of the meeting. Just a reminder, members, that I did invite you at the last meeting. There are drinks, nibbles in the chairman's parlour. Please do come back for a drink and some peanuts or whatever your pleasure is. And this will be the last time that we all meet in the same room together. So it'd be nice to see as many of you back there as possible. Next meeting is Tuesday, the 23rd of May at 7:30 p.m. And I'd like to formally close the meeting. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much, members.
Please be upstanding.